upon a time on the internet, three girls they never met, but somehow they became friends. We're in three different countries in three different time zones, so really it must have been fate. Girl stuff is how we like to communicate our thoughts and feelings, stories that can make you relate. And we talk to some cool people we met on the way. So thanks for tuning in. We hope that you like your stay.
Hey, I'm Hannah.
Hi, I'm Mal.
And I'm Eden.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today, Eden. We're so happy to have you. Some of our listeners might not know who you are and what you do. Can you give us like a quick introduction about yourself?
So my name is Eden Wood. I'm 15 years old. I'm actually about to turn 16 on the 18th, so I'm super excited for that. I sing, I dance, I model, I act. So I got my feet in a little bit of everything, you know?
That's incredible. You're like an overall talent. And what do you like to do when you're not doing like your professional aspect of like acting, modeling? What do you like to do for fun in like your free time?
So at school, I'm actually a cheerleader. I'm a flyer, which is so fun. I love flying, love it. I play the drums in the band. My mom is actually my band director. A lot of people don't know that I can play the drums, but that's something I do. And I also love to draw. I've found my love for drawing and painting over the course of quarantine. I just got bored and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. So I got out a pen and paper and I was like, whoop.
That's incredible. Yeah, the pandemic caused us all to dive into different things, but I think it's for us having like to deal with the changes that are going through in the world right now. It's good to dive into other like topics and things to do. Um, we talked about you modeling. You had the opportunity to walk the New York Fashion Week for like multiple designers. What was that experience like?
Well, if you guys don't know, I was on Toddlers and Tiaras way back in the day, and I did a lot of pageants. And so it was very surreal for me to get on the runway stage. It's kind of like a step up from pageants, and it kind of brought back so many memories of the pageant days, and I loved it. It was so much fun.
What are some of like your favorite takeaways from walking the runway?
My favorite takeaways, okay, it's definitely whenever, because they video it. Normally my mom gets like the behind the scenes and stuff, and I get to watch it, and it's like I just see all the cameras flashing and I feel so good, and I get off stage and my mom's like, you did awesome, and I'm like, yes. It just feels great.
You mentioned a little bit about like being in pageants and acting. What inspired you to begin those things?
Well, when I did my first pageant, I was like 14 months old. My mom put me in a beauty pageant. I'm pretty sure I won. But it just went from there. And as I got older, I saw that I loved doing it. But at the age of 6, I actually retired because I got tired of pageants and I wanted to move on to other things. Yeah, I know 6 is really old to retire, but I did. I told my mom. She was always like, if you don't want to do this, just let me know. And I did. And so I went on, and I actually was in a movie called Little Rascals Save the Day, and I was Darla. And if it wasn't for pageants and toddlers and tiaras, I would never have gotten that opportunity. I got it out of 1,400 other girls, so it was a pretty big deal for me.
Yeah, besides like landing like bigger movie roles, what do you think you've taken away from being in pageants at like such a young age?
Pageants get a lot of negative things thrown at them, but really pageants, I've never had a negative experience with pageants. I mean, with any little girl, they love going to their mom's closet, putting on fancy shoes, makeup, doing their hair, and that's what pageants were all about. But they were also about the inner beauty too. Pageants gave me such a confidence so that now when I have an interview, I'm not scared to do it. I'm not scared to get up in front of the class and give a presentation. So pageants have never had anything negative for me.
You said you learned like self-confidence. Is there anything else that you learned about yourself during that whole experience of being on pageant and like acting?
I definitely learned my love for performing. It all started with pageants. I loved getting on the stage, singing, dancing. It didn't matter what it was. If I was on the stage, I was working it.
If you could talk like to your, let's say, 6-year-old self now, what advice would you give your younger self about the industry?
I would tell her to just keep being her and, go for it. I mean, my life motto has always been dream. And I like to say that I'm from a town of 566 people. So I took that dream and I'm here now and I made it a reality. So I just like to, push myself and never give up.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit about like the negative side of pageants and that they have like a bad rep sometimes. But the entertainment industry, like in general, sometimes can be like brutal. How do you deal with the struggle of like comparing yourself, especially like in pageants or as acting, comparing yourself to other people that are competing for the same spot as you?
Well, I know that with anything that I do, I come to win. And, you know, I know that I am made wonderfully by Jesus and that everything that's supposed to happen will happen. And that's just how it is. If somebody beats me or does this or does that, it's a learning experience. You should always learn from, take the negatives, turn them into positives. So
Yeah. Now Hannah's gonna go a little bit into TikTok.
okay.
So,
Love to.
we all love TikTok. I just want to touch on one thing. You kind of mentioned your faith a little bit. How has your faith kind of helped with keeping yourself grounded in all the different industries that you are in right now?
Well, I grew up in church, and so I mean, whenever I'm feeling down, I know that I can get out my Bible and read a few verses, and it'll just lift me up, and I'll feel so much better. And my mom is really good about, telling me what verses to read, or when I go to church, I can talk to my pastor about it. But I mean, I know that in my heart, I know who I am, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's cool. It's very inspiring. I mean, to see, even though you're doing so much, that you're still staying grounded in your roots. It's very like inspiring, and I love that. I love to hear that. Like, I mean, I understand. I'm the same way. Being rooted in something is very, very crucial. So, turning on to TikTok, most of us use TikTok. Everyone kind of started in the middle of a pandemic and we all kind of took it and ran with it. Um, so, what kind of got you into TikTok? Was it the pandemic or were you just always on the app prior to?
So I am an OG for TikTok. I had it way back whenever it was Musically. Um, I never really posted on it. I just made like really funny, embarrassing, cringy videos that I watch now. But when TikTok actually came out, all my friends were like, "Eden, you need to get this. Like, it's so fun." And I was like, "Okay." Like, cause I heard that it was like Vine.
Yeah.
And I actually had Vine before, but I was so little, I don't remember like how to use it or anything. But now that I'm older, like I got on TikTok and I started watching, and it's so addicting. Like you just, once you get on there, you can't stop scrolling, and it's so funny. But I like to say that TikTok gives me the avenue. Like a lot of people, when they go to my Instagram, they see my glamour shots and like my pageants and my runway walks. But when you go to my TikTok, you get to see me being silly and you kind of get to see my goofy side. So that's why I like TikTok so much.
Awesome. And you kind of mentioned that you like to be a little bit more you on TikTok. It's a bit more of a freer platform. Can you tell us kind of a little bit about like what kind of videos do you like to post? Like, do you like the POVs? Do you like the cringy TikTok dances? What's your favorite thing to kind of do
I
on TikTok?
definitely love the TikTok dances. I can do like some dances like TikTok, but most of the time they are pretty cringy, but it's funny. At least I get a laugh out of it. At least I'm entertaining the people that are watching. I also love to make TikToks with my Chihuahua, Bella. She's like 11 years old and she doesn't have any teeth, so her tongue sticks out. And dogs are very popular on TikTok. I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw like the ski masks that they're putting on. Yeah, I tried that with my dog like yesterday actually, and it was hilarious. Her tongue was like, oh my god.
Chihuahuas are. I have a German Shepherd, so that's not gonna work for me. She's too big
Yeah,
for those.
probably not.
So in terms of like your favorite TikTok that you've posted, what would be kind of the one that if you were to show people, you'd be like, I'm most proud of this one?
I don't know. I think that probably the makeup one that I posted, I went from like no makeup, and I actually have a makeup line called Dream, which is what I used in the video, and it kind of is what I showed everybody for my makeup, and I used that in the video. So that's probably what I'm most proud of.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about your makeup palette. You know, you mentioned it. So what kind of inspired you to release a makeup palette?
So ever since I was little, I've loved putting on makeup. I've loved playing with it. And now that I've gotten older, I've kind of gotten good at it, I guess you could say. Like I do all my makeup for interviews and things like that. And I was like, during quarantine, I was like, I need to make a makeup line. Like it just makes sense. And so I called it Dream because, like I said, that's my motto. And I have a primer, I have a mascara, I have two palettes. One of the palettes is like a contour, and then the other one is an eyeshadow palette. um I pretty much have everything that you need to like start off with makeup. And I love the palettes too because they're so small. And if you're ever like somewhere and you need to get it out for a touch up, it's like really small so you can just pull it out and you're good to go.
Awesome. Um, in terms of like having like a successful platform, what would be like your advice to someone who, you know, whether it be Instagram or TikTok or just life in general, like you as your own platform, what would be your advice to someone who's wanting to do something like that?
Always be authentic, be yourself. Don't try to put up a front for anybody. That's not what people want to see. They want to see the real you. And that's what I've always done. I've always shown people who I really am.
Hmm. All right, so let's switch gears to music, and I feel like we're gonna talk a lot about music because we're all in, like the three of us. I think we're all into music, and you know, you're releasing your own music, so you have a passion for music. So where did you kind of start with that passion? Was it family? Was it, you know, in the middle of a pageant one time you're like, this is kind of fun. I'd love to do something like this. Tell us about the story of like how you got into music.
So my family goes way back with like musical instruments, singing, everything. My mom can play piano, she can sing. Her mom could do instruments and sing, and it just keeps going and going and going. And so I kind of grew up with that. And like I said, I loved getting on stage, and I started singing when I was like 4 or 3. And during Corona, and I was stuck inside, I started writing songs. And I like to say that my music is very heartfelt. Everything that I've written so far has had like a purpose. I just released a song called Keep Dreaming. And I mean, that's like I said, that's what I've done for the past 15 years. Staying on track, dreaming. And I actually collaborated with DJ Alden, who is on a TV show called Next Big Thing with me on Amazon Prime. And we did all of that through Zoom sessions. We never once got to meet in person. I sent my voice memos to him with the lyrics on them, and he put it through the recording studio. So I think that that's really a cool story to be able to tell, that we did all of that without even meeting in person.
Mm-hmm.
And then I recently, I'm writing a song. It's a country song, which I think I'm super proud of it. It's about me and how I'm from the country, and that's where my roots are. And even though I go to these big cities and things like that, in my heart, like I'm a country girl.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it kind of gives me Taylor Swift vibes. So I'm really excited. I haven't recorded it yet, but I'm hoping to get in the studio soon.
That's awesome. That's exciting. I'm a big country fan. I mean, Mel and I will always just play country at random times. So we're gonna definitely stream your song when it comes out.
Yeah.
What would you say are your biggest musical inspirations? Like if you could be in a room with four other either artists or producers, who would they be?
Okay, well, I've always said that my number one role model, even when I was little, was Selena Gomez. She has always been herself. She has always stood her ground. She is so strong. She is beautiful, talented. She can act. She can sing. I mean, I hope that one day I can be just as successful as her. I also love Justin Bieber. I love Ariana Grande. She's really, really good. I love the way she sings. And Shawn Mendes. Shawn Mendes is great too.
Awesome. We've got a lot of Canadians in there. I love that. My Canadian self is very happy with that hint. Who is one artist that you can listen to on repeat and like never get tired of?
I'd say Khaled. I mean, his music
Okay.
is so vibey and just good and heartfelt. I can't stop listening to it. Like I think I have all of his albums downloaded on my playlist. So
That's awesome. And what would you say are your top two favorite songs of all time?
I love this song called "Hero" by Mariah Carey.
Okay.
It's very good. And then I think my next favorite is probably "The Heart Wants What It Wants" by Selena Gomez. That one's good.
Okay, awesome. Um, okay, so we're gonna switch just more about like you and your musical career and like your process in writing. And you've kind of answered a few of the questions that I had in terms of what kind of got you to start writing music. But you know, what's the process? What was the process of you writing in the sense of like you couldn't bounce ideas off of other people easily because you weren't in the room with them? So did you kind of come up with the melody first? Did you come up with the lyrics first? Like what was your process in writing your songs?
So what I normally first do is I come up with the lyrics and I try to figure out like what rhymes best, what sounds best. And then once I get the song finished, like I said, my mom is really good with this kind of stuff. So I'll bring her in and I'll start singing different melodies, different keys, and we'll try to figure it out and we just go from there. And then with the Keep Dreaming song, I sent over the melody to DJ Alden and I told him some songs that I really liked the beat to, and he
Mhm.
took it and made it his own with the beat and put it down, and that's how it happened.
That's awesome. How did you kind of find the process of working through Zoom sessions and kind of needing to really trust the producer to kind of bring your dream to life? How was that process of like you just giving up the freedom of how you wanted a song to sound?
At first, of course, I think for everybody it was really weird because, we could meet in person and Zoom was a new thing and we weren't sure. But I mean, it did take a few months for everything to get done and finished. And I mean, I never doubted DJ Alden. He is so talented, he's so good. Um, and I was super pleased. And he would send me back different things so I could choose, and it just went from there.
That's awesome. And you recently released a song called "All in My Feels." I hope I got that.
Yes.
I couldn't remember "All in My Feels" or "All My Feels." All in my feels.
But don't anticipate me. I think they'd be surprised. I'm all in my feels, like nothing is real. And you keep on holding me together in place. It's something that's real. And you keep on holding me together, holding me together.
Can you tell us a little bit about this song? Like, what's it about? What's it inspired by? The background behind the song itself.
So I actually worked with my new producer, Mitch McKelvin. He actually wrote that song for me. And I mean, it just tells you like a story of being in your feels, basically. It's like that's what the song's called. But it was so much fun because I hadn't been in the recording studio for so long. Like, of course, when I was littler, I had some songs out, but it was like everything came back to life. And I was like, dang, I really love and miss this. And I was like, I've got to do more. And so I was like, I'm going to start writing songs. And so that's what kind of kicked it into gear.
Okay. And in the sense of like you're wanting to switch, or like it sounds like you're kind of switching into the country side of music. Why are you switching to country? Like what's kind of the shift? I mean, you kind of mentioned, you're from the country, so you want to stay true to your roots, but between pop country and like Taylor Swift OG country, kind of like what's your plan in the sense of your musical career and where you want your songs to go?
Well, I have a very eclectic taste. I can listen to basically anything and get my boogie on. So I want that to be the same for my singing. I want to be able, like, I don't want to limit myself to one genre or country or pop. I want to be able to explore and see what I like best. So, I'm just kind of playing around right now. And yeah, country music is definitely something that I'm interested in. But you never know. You never know what the future
Yeah,
holds.
that's true. That's true. And how do you kind of balance music with acting, with your passion for, like just in terms of your like your professional career? You're dipping your feet into multiple different segments. How do you kind of balance that in your own personal life?
Really just take one day at a time. I mean, focus on one thing and then focus on the next. I've been doing it since I was 6, so I mean, it's kind of second nature to me.
Hmm. And if you could give someone advice who's wanting to go into the musical industry and who's writing music right now and not really sure where it's going to go, what would be your advice to them?
I would tell them to definitely go for it. I mean, if they think that, it's really good and they believe that they could have something like happen with it, do
Mhm.
it, you know? What's stopping you? Yourself. So push through.
That's true. That's true. I always say, like, what's the worst someone can tell you? No? Okay, well, at least you tried, like the door eventually will open when it's the time for it to open is kind of my mantra. But, you keep saying, keep dreaming and keep pursuing what you want to do. So I love that. I love to hear that. Um, so you're 15 and you are in fashion shows, on TV, on pageants, releasing music, you have your own makeup palette, and you're also in school. And you're not just in school, but you're doing so much in school as well, between cheerleading and drumming. Your website says you also sing in the choir. So how do you maintain a balance between like your professional life and like your school and personal and extracurricular activities that come with that?
So, I mean, when I first came, I was homeschooled for like 4 years, and my mom was actually my teacher. And we decided that I wanted to go to public school and see how I liked it. And I got in. And of course, when I first came, people were like, this girl, she's supposed to be a celebrity. She's coming to our school. Like, we don't know what to think. She's probably going to be stuck up and da 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 da. And that's like what a lot of people think before they actually get to know me. And I actually came to school and they're all like, this cannot be the same girl. Like, she does not act like that at all. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just Eden. Like, y'all will get used to it eventually. And they're like, yeah, I guess so. And I mean, I I really, like I said, I just take day by day. I mean, on the weekends I do my interviews and I write my music and things like that. And then on weekdays I focus on my schoolwork, my homework,
Mhm.
cheer, my games, band, choir. That's when I do everything. So
That's awesome. And did anything kind of change because of quarantine for you guys? Like, did you have time where you were kind of in the house all the time? There was no extracurriculars, or did COVID not really affect school that much for you?
we got out for COVID in like early March of
Okay.
last year, I'm pretty sure, and we were out for until the next school year. But with that time, you have to take the negatives and turn them to positives. And my mom and she cannot. Okay, guys, my mom cannot cook, and she actually tried to learn how to cook a few things. They weren't too bad. I'm have to give her that. We hadn't rode our bikes in years, and we actually got the bikes out with the dust and all and started pedaling, just to get
Hmm.
out of the house for a little bit.
Yeah,
I had doggy fashion shows. You just gotta work with what you got. So
that's true. Yeah. And are you an only child, or do you have siblings?
I am an only
You
child.
are. Okay. Okay. That Mel can relate. She's also an only child. So. Does it ever, start to feel too much? Like, do you ever feel like, okay, you know what? What if I just quit and just go to school and live my life? Do you ever get those kind of feelings, or?
No, I don't think I've ever felt like that. Sometimes I do get a little bit stressed, but like I said, I'll just calm down, take a minute, listen to some music, read my Bible, and then I'll be fine. But I love what I do. And, you know, when you have a passion for something, it never gets old. So
That's true. Yeah. And you could tell that you're passionate about it too, because the way you talk about it, like you get super excited, super energetic. And it's amazing to see, especially like my sister's your age, right? She's turning 16 this year. And to see that there is hope that like you can go do so much and still be like grounded in who you are. It's inspiring. So like kudos to you, honestly. Like A+, you're doing great.
thank you.
Um, so do you ever kind of feel performance anxiety, like, the fear of messing up, whether it's when you're walking a runway or singing a song, or hopefully you'll be touring one day, like do you ever feel performance anxiety, and how do you kind of go get past it?
I mean, with anything, yeah, I get a little bit nervous, but I've been doing it for so long. I mean, I don't really get that nervous anymore. The only time that I'll ever get just a little bit nervous is when I sing, just because I haven't gotten up in front of people in so long and I've been home and, but that's something that I'm going to overcome. I mean, with anything, the more you do it, practice makes perfect and it'll get better. So
100%. So just kind of to wrap things up a little bit, we spent 2020, basically all of us were in quarantine. And now 2021 looks like who knows what's going to happen. We don't actually know. So what kind of did you learn about yourself in 2020 that you're bringing into 2021?
definitely that I am going to persevere. Like, I will never give up. Um, I mean, if things get tough, I'll take care of that and I'll work through it and, push through.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've done over quarantine. That's what I'm going to keep doing. So,
I love that. And just to last question kind of thing, what kind of projects are you hoping to kind of dive into?
um, I really want to get my music on the radio. I want to be in another big movie because I love acting so much. And I want to model for some really big time designers in New York. Hopefully, COVID will go away really soon so we can actually travel and I can get to New York and do all of that.
That's awesome. Have you done any traveling outside of the States, or is most of your travels in the States?
No, I am so sad too because normally, like every year, I'll get to travel at least like 4 times to get out of Arkansas. Because of course, I love going to the city. Of course, I love the country too. But getting to go to LA and New York, like that's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really hoping that it'll slow down and that I'll actually get to travel some more because I do miss it a lot.
Awesome. And in terms of like your favorite place that you've traveled to, what would be between LA and New York? Which one would you choose if you could just go right now? COVID's done, you can get on a flight. Where would you go to?
I'd probably go out of LA and New York. I'd go to New York. I used to love LA more than New York, but I've been going to New York more often because of fashion shows and things.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love it, especially like the food and the vibe and everything. But if I could choose anywhere that I've been, I would want to go back to probably Japan or England. Japan was so cool. It actually does kind of give me New York vibes.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. I do miss it a lot.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm like wishing I could be on a plane right now. So.
Yeah.
And then just one more question. If you could have anyone play yourself in a movie, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure. Oh, I know who. Okay, this would have to be my older self.
Yep.
I actually was behind, like on set for Kicking It. If you remember that show, and Olivia Holt, we took a picture together, and my mom was like, "You guys could be sisters." So I think that she could play the role very well. She's gorgeous, and she's also very successful. So
Mm-hmm. I love Olivia Holt. I think we watched a movie of hers the other day because what else are you doing in quarantine?
right.
Have you binged any shows in quarantine that you're like, I love this show, I could watch it again? Or have you been more on like the creative side of being away from the computer?
I've definitely been binge watching some Netflix. I cannot stay away from Netflix for very long. Same thing with TikTok. Probably Gossip Girl. I started watching that early quarantine, and I finished it like right after it ended, and it was so good. They actually mentioned toddlers and tiaras in the show, and I freaked out. I was like, "No way!" They just said toddlers and tiaras. I was like,
Any other shows that you binged, or was it kind of just the?
The Vampire Diaries. Oh my gosh, that is my show. So good, so good.
So which team are you? We have to ask everyone who comes on who watches Vampire Diaries. Team Stefan or Team Damon?
I think Stefan.
Okay.
He got did dirty. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it, but he did get done dirty.
Don't worry. I think everyone has seen Vampire Diaries. That's like a classic. Yeah. Have you seen the originals?
No, I wanted to start it, but I never got to it. But I do love Klaus, so I'm gonna have to start watching that.
I'll give you a fair warning. I cried for the last 3 episodes of the show, like broken down, like This Is Us type of crying. Like it was bad.
I will probably cry too then.
Yeah, you fall in love with the characters, right? Like it's just and that's why I love like music and shows and movies, because you get to fall in love with the story and the character and like the emotions that they give you. And like we are so thankful that you took the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Again,
I'm glad
like,
you guys had me. It's so fun.
no, of course, anytime. We are so excited for your music, and honestly, like we were just listening to it and we were like jamming out together. We're like, oh yeah.
Love it.
And we're both big country fans, so trust me, when you release that country song, we are going to be right there behind you, promoting it. No worries. But again, just want to say thank you so much. If there's one thing to wrap up kind of everything that you've done to either to give advice to someone or like get through quarantine or whatever, like what would you kind of say?
Basically just what I've said throughout this whole interview, never give up. The sky's the limit. If you believe in your heart that you can do something, go for it.
Perfect. Love that.
And that's girl stuff.